under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, please take your seats. Keep in mind, we are live right now, so this is being live streamed, so anything you say in the back can be picked up by one of those microphones in the back. Apologize for moving us to the boardroom tonight because there's some construction going on in the front of Village Hall, so we had to move some things around. So we're usually in the work session room, but tonight we will be here. So I'm going to make a motion to open up the work session on March 10th, 2025 for this village board. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I moved a couple things around from last week. Nicole, make sure I pronounce your last name properly. Augstein?
Sure, Augstein.
Augstein.
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
Yeah.
All right, okay.
We get
Good
one
Italian name, huh? Just like Galliano. All right, so Nicole is here. Well, she does a lot of things if you've seen her bio and her resume, but you're on behalf of, you here on behalf of the CCAC, which is the Cornwall Conservation Advisory Council, of which Trustee David Carnwright is our board representative. It's run by the amazing Carla Castillo. They do wonderful things. They have guided the village on a number of different matters, including the tree preservation law that we just passed. They do an amazing job. So recently, last week, we had a quick Zoom meeting to take a look at the village town sign and what we're gonna do with the pollinators there. And we have a plan in place for another scheduled meeting, because we held one there in the fall, and you were nice enough to come out and kind of give us some ideas. And that is gonna be the start of what's gonna ultimately be the pollinator connector trail from the New York Forward grant, which is gonna begin at Shedane Circle, work its way down Main Street into the village and on Hudson Street and down into the lower village, all the way down to Donahue Memorial Park. But that's not why you're here tonight. What you're here tonight is, and I love people who bring receipts, it's the FBI agent in me, when you reached out and said, hey, it was back in 2020 and you were one of the people on that board that signed on to a resolution for the village board. I was a trustee back then, that declared us a climate safe community adherent or something.
Smart. Yeah.
Climate smart, I'm sorry, Bill. Climate smart community. Obviously, since that was 2020, I don't know how much stuff, other than worrying about the stuff that we do, which all plays into the climate and the ecology and all those kind of things, plantings and the like. But I think you're here to tell us kind of what we could be moving to do to put words into action. Am I right?
A little bit, yeah, pretty close.
Would you like to you're fine there, or you're welcome to use the podium. If you prefer to lecture the board, this is probably the way to go.
I don't mind it being more casual.
You got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'm Nicole Augstein. I'm on the CCAC. We've done some foundational work over the last 4 or 5 months with this program called Climate Smart Communities. It's a program administered by the state, like 6 different agencies in the state. It basically is an action-oriented checklist that would give us essentially like an extra foot in the door, of extra box to check when going after other grant opportunities throughout the state. So basically it says like, if we were to pursue the certification and obtain the certification, we can basically say on grant applications that have to do with a variety of things, energy, building rehabilitation, stormwater management, we can basically say, and the Village of Cornwall is in fact a climate smart community, and so you get, a better status, right? So the village and the town are 2 separate entities as it relates to climate smart communities, right? They're different municipalities, but we can work together on an intermunicipal task force in order to be able to pursue this certification program. There's a variety of actions, all in different kinds of 7 or 8 different categories that focus on energy, on habitat, on waste management,
Fleet management.
and basically there's an a la carte menu. The great thing about it is that a lot of the actions have look back periods, 5 years, 10 years. So the stuff that the village and the town have done for literally the last several years can all still go towards this certification program. So we're not starting from scratch. And we might as well take advantage of the things that we are already doing. As you very plainly said, we've done a bunch of this stuff. We should get credit for it. There's also several groups, organizations that are involved in both the village and the town, and the Hudson Highlands area or Orange County area in general, but that is pursuing a lot of this stuff. So there's additional resources and help and guidance, and like this has become a thing where like I participate on the Orange County Climate Smart Community Task Force meeting. So we meet with other municipalities. We're like, how'd you do this? And what was the challenge here? So there's a lot of info sharing, knowledge sharing. And the Hudson Valley Regional Council, part of their mission is to help communities like ours pursue these sort of smart development initiatives, right? So that's a big kind of umbrella of like what the program is. Gets us kind of like a priority status when it comes to commitment towards climate initiatives. Kind of takes advantage of the things that gets credit, like legit credit for things that we're already doing and things that we are pursuing.
Putting in a composting toilet, doing pollinator plantings. These are all the things that you mentioned that would be check-offable.
Your lighting, the
Lighting law.
the LED lighting that you're doing in the village. The tree preservation law gets credit. The natural resources inventory that was done in 2017, that gets credit. Like
Comprehensive plan,
What's that?
comprehensive plan.
Although we have to
That I'll
update
have to check because I know that's like hot off the press that's moving forward, but that's possible. Like from a planning
No,
principle.
ours is done in the
Well, there's the
village.
town
but
one,
the town is like
Oh, right.
doing theirs.
yeah, and
But
ours
that's
is
the
5
point.
years old, I think, isn't it?
The New York-
Almost.
The
But
New
it-
York
2021.
Orient, the connector trail,
Yeah.
like increasing accessibility,
Yeah.
that's an action. So again, it's like all stuff that's already on the docket.
Even just the fleet inventory,
Trees
just
for trims.
inventorying the motor vehicles that you have. Like that's
I think
that was the
some-
one I looked at and I was like, oh, we could do that one.
Some
We
of
could do
that
that one
stuff-
easily.
And then there's also like there's a greenhouse gas inventory, but Hudson Valley Regional Council literally part of they have the frameworks, the guidelines, they do training sessions on like how we would go about doing that. So the ask from the municipality is getting some staff time to help us collect energy bills, engage with us of like help us
EV
figure out what the
EV charging stations.
exactly you got your come two right.
Yeah, you have two going in.
Exactly.
How about if the mayor and a trustee actually believe in helping the environment and drive electric vehicles? Not that I'm pointing fingers at others on this dais who haven't bought in.
In Florida.
Mine is a hybrid though. I can't trust the EV just totally yet, but yes,
EV chargers.
There's somebody that's using it right
yes,
now.
Trustee Brain is actually our spearhead on that. That's one thing we're behind the town on. They've already got theirs in place, but we are set to do that.
But it's not about, it's just about
Yeah,
us working together to be able to
Yeah.
take advantage. And like, so where the work is again, collecting data, but it's this there's documentation. So we have to prove to the state,
Right.
that we have done this. And so it's getting the receipts of like, okay, the contract for the EV chargers, okay, that would have to be submitted to the state. The natural resource inventory, we have to attach it and talk about what the process was. So there's gonna need to be some cooperation between some staff because we don't necessarily have us as volunteers. It's gonna be
Sure.
mostly volunteer task force that goes
Sure.
and kind of like pulls the information.
But is this going to be spearheaded by the CCAC? That
It is.
That's
going to be-
perfect
yes.
because we try to do things similarly. The tree preservation law is a perfect example of that we modeled after what the CCAC had posited to the town. So what you need essentially, if I hear this correctly, is access. You need to be able to say, hey, Jimmy, as Bill was saying, I need a list of, your fleet. What do you have? And, what did you have budgeted last year and what did you spend on tree plantings and on pollinator
Like,
plantings?
exactly. And so it's being able to work in cooperation, right? And the town and the village don't have to go after the same stuff. It's not a if you've done something, you have Donahue Memorial or Donahue Farm and Donahue Memorial Park. So you have other stuff that you can do that the town can't.
Right.
Because you have these systems in place.
So quick
Riverfront,
question, it's
too.
Nicole, right? Okay, so, we're two separate municipalities, how are we sharing the information? I mean, how does the village get credit for some of the stuff the town has and vice versa? Because when you first started off, I'm like, okay, how does that go?
That's one of the asks. So yes, it's access, but it's also joining this, having an intermunicipal task force, climate smart community task force. So the team that's going to be accessing this information and putting together the documentation, coordinating with the state, coordinating with Hudson Valley Regional Council is this climate smart community task force. It makes after talking to Carla and the rest of the CCAC, it makes sense to do an intermunicipal task force so that we'd have half the team would come from the village, half the team would come from the town.
Reduce
There'd be-
redundancy and duplicative efforts and all
And
that.
just making sure we're all sharing information so that it's like, oh, you guys are doing, oh, we could do something easy like that, like, and being able to like kind of feed two birds with one seed,
Oh, look at that. That's
right?
nice.
That's nice. That's good. Oh.
There's that laugh I missed.
Where it comes to the grandstanding and the points, essentially, is that still, does the state still look at us as two separate municipalities? Even though we're sort of jointly, the committee that you would form, the task force you would form, would be jointly tracking everything, submitting it on behalf of the two municipalities. But when the state looks at it, they say the village did this and the town did this.
That's what
yeah,
I was
right.
getting at,
And
Bill.
so
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
two separate, so on the clean energy, climate smart community dashboard, right? You go to something dec.climatesmartcommunity.org, and Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson has its own like centralized area of all the points you've done. The town has the same, totally separate. So, for example, on the natural resources inventory that both municipalities participated in, right? We would just have to go through duplicative documentation efforts. It would be the same stuff. We just change some stuff that says the village, and it has the village members. Then the other one, the town, would have the town stuff.
Is that the map that has like each county or town's got like red or it's color coded?
This
It kind of
one-
tells you which communities are climate smart communities.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
been on-
exactly.
yeah.
That
Yes,
first
all right.
website is the
Yes,
state, and then it's got a bunch of
understood.
circles. Exactly.
Got
And
it. Got it.
yes.
Okay.
We have a landing page on there that says our former town clerk, village clerk, and a former, coordinator at the time of the resolution passing.
Was Nicholas Moran,
Nicholas
correct?
Moran is listed.
Yes.
They're still listed there, both. So
So
I
Nicholas-
looked at that and I called. I started to talk to a couple of people, and then Carla heard that I was asking around, and she called and yelled at me and said, "No, it's us." And I said, "Okay, fine." And then Nicole Augstein showed up, and now we're all.
So the actual, just so, and this is for people listening or people here, so the actual resolution passed by the village board on January 27th of 2020, basically, some of these are abstractions, and some of them are, hey, you need to be doing this. But the 10 things that we committed to 5 years ago was, one, pledge to be a climate-smart community. We've done that with this resolution. Two, and here's where I think we kind of fell off the wagon, set goals, inventory emissions, and plan for climate action. Three, decrease community energy use. That's okay. How do we, check that or determine that? I can only account for village facilities and properties. Four, increase community use of renewable energy. We're doing that with the charging stations. Five, realize benefits of, this is the abstraction, realize the benefits of recycling and other climate-smart solid waste management practices, which we do. Composting, exactly, which we do at the farm, always right there. Reduce greenhouse gas emissions through climate-smart land use tools. What is a land use tool?
The work that you're doing for like New York Forward, you're planning the walkways, bikeways.
That's land use tools?
Those are land use tools.
Learn something every day.
So that's, you might be right, Dave, that the comprehensive plan will have
Yeah.
elements that can apply to that. But it's zoning regulations, it's that type of stuff of like,
Yep.
your tree preservation law, that would go in there, that's a land use.
Enhance community resilience and prepare for the effects of climate change. Support development of a green innovation economy. That's a little above my pay grade, but we can certainly talk about that. Inform and inspire the public, and we probably need to do a better job from the dais here and messaging this and talking about this. And encouraging people to participate, and then commit to an evolving process of climate action. So some of these are abstractions and feel-goods. There's some things in here that we need to be doing, and what I see as number two is setting goals, inventorying emissions, and plan for climate action, I think would be the start. Would you agree or disagree?
You're doing all these things. I mean, like, I'm not, those are basically each of the categories of the checklist. So like, the green business one, there's literally like, have a green business day where like we'll talk to the people on both the downtowns and say, we would help coordinate something that's all about local buying, right? It's all about bringing, like, that counts as kind of the innovation, or can count as one of the things towards like an innovation with the county. I do also want to identify a group, Mothers Out Front, who's a nationally recognized climate advocacy group. I think the group now is through the Hudson Highlands, but it started in the village, the local chapter, and they have also provided input and now support and volunteer energy to be able to like bring this, because it's the CCAC is going to need help from more than just the council. It's going to need people in the community.
And you know how this works in small communities like ours, right? The same people are the ones that are involved in all the good things, doing all the work. So yes, obviously what you're looking, and tell me if I'm wrong, the commitment tonight is, A, you're gonna need a liaison. We have a liaison to the CCAC, but for this, because this is a separate offshoot, you would be looking for somebody from the village, one of us, to be a liaison, and then you would be looking to get volunteers involved as we go forward. So when
Or
we-
groups.
Right, or working subgroups.
Yeah, we have
And somebody to help me
your,
put stuff in the Cornwall local that says, there's either they're marketing and advertising of either the events that we're doing or the goal of participating and just getting involved. I
Yeah.
think we're still trying to kind of wrap our heads around, because this will take 18 to 24 months. Like, straight talk, like, this is a longer term sort of thing to be able to actually obtain.
Perfect, because part of the New York Forward grant is marketing, branding, and wayfinding, and this would be something perfect for that, because we will be setting up a website. We are gonna have some electronic kiosks that we have to get designed. Yeah, we have to balance the rustic quality of things around here. We like the old stuff, but we also have to figure out a way to do something that we can quickly change things and let people know when there's an event at Donahue Farm, or let them know that we're gonna be recycling used computer parts out here in the parking lot, stuff like that, so.
That's solid waste management play. Like, you guys, I mean, and that's the point, like, you guys we're already doing this stuff.
Good.
We're doing a
Dave
lot.
behind you's got his hand up.
Yeah, not that she needs any help here, but I'm just going through this. Number one, we're already doing a ton of this, right? By setting up the task force and getting a coordinator, you're a third of the way to bronze, you're 10% of the way to silver. But it'll help these guys getting grants for different infrastructure. I mean, every table back here for grants and infrastructure. And I think about all that New York Forward. It was just because we stack these kinds of things on top of each other every time. So it's a home run for the village.
Very good.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Awesome.
I'm glad I just wanted to kind of jumpstart the conversation. a little
And you
bit.
know
Get it
what?
going,
The
yeah.
fact that you came in person and did that and now have gotten us excited is a lot better than an email that's flat two-dimensional medium. So yes, we will talk about this with the board. This is a work session tonight, but we'll talk about this. We will identify a liaison and then we'll talk about what we can do on our end, but of course you have our commitment. And we like that we're working together with the town. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I might be willing to be that liaison.
Whoa.
Liaison.
All right. Well, how about this? Does anybody have an issue with Trustee Paleota being the liaison to the CCAC's Climate Smart Community Effort?
First hand up.
All right.
No, I'm like.
Then it is so decreed. So you have your point of contact right now. Absolutely. And it's good because Bill's our liaison to the Donahue Committee. Dave is our liaison to the CCAC. This makes a perfect.
We're still gonna need you guys. Well, you
course.
will. It's all, but that's awesome. That's wonderful. Thank you. This is
Thank
actually
you
very
so much.
sweet.
See, I got you in and out quickly. I told you.
I think I made the mark. I think I did.
You hit the mark. If we didn't do all that flapping of our gums, you'd have been out of here earlier. So.
Well, we?
All right. All right. You only have one more of these to put up with me, so at ease. All right, thank you, Nicole.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Yes, okay, great. Thank you.
Gentlemen, we moved you up. We're gonna try to knock out all these things. So as it relates, we're gonna do this a little haphazardly, but there's a method to the madness. So as relates to the Donahue Committee and the efforts at Donahue Farm, Dave, you had reached out and asked me about, where are we with New York Forward? So Jim, just so you know, because I just confirmed with the Department of State, Josh and I basically reached out to the New York State Department of State and said, we got to know something.
Unbelievable, ain't it?
So what we found out is And this is the exact email from Susan Lanfried. I got great respect for her. She's juggling a lot of balls in the air right now because she has the DRI grant awards the year before we got one. She has ours from 2 years ago. She has the Village of Highland Falls, and who was the other one? I forget. Was it Port Jervis that got theirs? They're all in different phases, and she's juggling those. But with where we are right now, she said, we're still on hold, unfortunately, with the contracts, as the Office of the State Comptroller is still reviewing the master language. Nothing we can do to fast forward that. She is, however, going to hold a meeting with Josh, myself, the deputy supervisor, the deputy mayor on Wednesday at 4 o'clock, Jim, I confirmed. So I'll be able to ask her a little bit more pointed questions, but that's where we're standing right now with that. Obviously, from the village perspective, and I might as well do this New York Forward into Donahue. Tonight, we're going to approve an IMA, an MOU between the town and the village for New York Forward, which is a 2-pager, had never been done before. We were the first town village to get a joint award, so we had to do an IMA. Finally got all the language with the attorneys squared away. We'll approve that tonight. That puts the town in charge of 3 of the 7 awards. Notwithstanding theirs for Ring Pond and Sands Ring and that, they're gonna take on the joint projects of the Cornwall Connector Trail, which is the Pollinator Trail from Shadane Circle to the Hudson River. They're gonna take care of marketing, branding, and wayfinding. And they're also gonna take care of the administration of the small project fund. That's the $300,000 that's earmarked anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 to applicants along Main Street or Hudson Street, anywhere within the corridor that was blocked off when we got that area approved. And individual businesses will apply for that. We have to hire somebody to administer that. Blessedly, those 3 projects will all be administered out of the town, working with the village, but they have that. On our end, also blessedly, we got the only private project, which is the Black Box Theater, which I believe the Storm King Theater is Manny, correct me if I'm wrong, Tuesday, March 25th? Correct? Slated to go in front of the planning board again. I know that they're gonna be looking at potential variances, and they're gonna look for the planning board to agree to certain things requiring parking and things like that, so they're working through that. But that's administered by another entity out of New York State, and I'm forgetting it right now. It's not the Department of State, it's somebody else, but we don't have to oversee that. What we do have to oversee is the Dock Hill Road Connector Trail, and we got the award from New York Forward, plus we got the Recreational Trail Grants Award from New York State in the amount of $223, which brings us close to $1 million for that project. I know you talked about the roads being repaved, hopefully in the spring, meaning 218, which, that's obviously part of the trail that's gonna come from Donahue Farm all the way down to the river and part of the Dock Hill Road Connector Trail. And then the second one is the Donahue Farm projects. And that's all the stuff that we wanna do down there. So, we got the list, the ambitious list from the Donahue Committee on things that you want to do. I think the questions are a couple of questions and concerns that some of the board members had in regard to a couple of the events. One is, and I was down there the other day and I saw with Dave, I hope that the ruts in the road there from having the logs dropped off to Deke, it looks pretty rugged down there, but I'm sure it'll all settle out in the springtime. But as far as like woodworking, lathing, anything like that, I think the board's concern, just our chatter amongst ourselves, was how's this gonna work? Are these things where we're gonna put potential, attendees in danger? Is the village's insurance gonna be enough to indemnify us? And what your thoughts are on that?
Yeah, so first off, we've seen the logs down there. We have yet to verify exactly the source of them, but the 3 things. And number one, we've moved those out of gotten them cleared out except for the large log. You're seeing a lot of traffic coming through there from hikers and other folks. So we were talking earlier, we need to think of a different traffic pattern. So it's a combination of the log truck, the folks dropping off mulch in the back there, and it looks like there's a ton of people that are driving through there.
But that's not hikers, right? Hikers are still taking the access road to the trailhead.
I was there Sunday, and there were hikers driving across the field to get there.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Dave lost his
You might
mind
have
the
to
other
put
day
some
when he came in
chains
and
up.
said, we need to do something, and obviously,
Oh, can
we
we
don't
just
wanna
put
do
up
anything
some
that's not gonna be aesthetically pleasing, but how are we gonna keep
That'd be
people from
rustic.
driving across those areas?
Yeah, so I think
Well,
we
we
need to have a
don't
meeting
take
on
it
site
back.
here when we get going in the spring. This is the first time this has been a problem, right? It's
Yeah.
a combination thing. So we'll come up with a plan to make sure we prevent this.
Somebody knocked down a Donahue family tree, and Mary wants to pay for a replacement at the
There's
V
no question there's a lot more
intersection.
traffic out there, right? But a lot more traffic out there. So that area looks significantly better. We've, kind of fixed up the ruts and all that, and that'll be taken care of this spring once it dries out a little bit. But,
Of course.
in terms of activities on the property, I think that's a question. We need to, that's obviously taken on a different scale out there, so we need to have some discussions about that. I think that one of the primary people we need to get involved in that discussion isn't here right now. So I would say table that. Nothing's happening with it right now.
I think that's healthy, and if there's a way to do this, our business meeting will not be regularly scheduled for next Monday because we have the election on Tuesday, the 18th, so our business meeting is the following Monday, the 24th. That gives us 2 weeks. If we could have a conversation about that, and I agree, Dave, maybe it's meeting down at the farm property with Dave, you guys, Jim, Bill, whoever else wants to attend, go down there and kind of talk this through so we can see. And then I agree, we weren't going to pass anything on the schedule. We certainly want to support everything and anything you're doing down there, so long as, we don't have somebody lose an arm from a chainsaw or something, and, we don't think through like how we're gonna do that. Because I saw the wood down there. I had two people dropped off notes on my desk, and one person left me a voice message. Hey, Jimmy, I saw that spare wood down at the farm property. Is that free to be picked up?
Yeah,
And I had to go, time out. I believe that wood is earmarked for something, so I waved them off. But yeah, just so we have a plan going forward, we know what's gonna be done down there, and like I said, ambitious, I love it, but we'll table it for tonight, and in the next week or so, do you think we could get on a calendar to meet down there?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Deke is back in town until April 4th. So, and nothing's happening at this point until then. So I would say we're gonna have to wait. He's out of town.
Approved by the night.
So those first two events,
one
the
is
wood
April
milling
9th.
and stacking wood, so those are the ones with the most likely use of power tools,
Not back to the.
where we would have the most concern, I think.
And
about-
Darce just points out, if he's not back till the 4th,
Yeah, how are we
you're
gonna
looking
do
to do
something on
wood
that?
milling on April 9th or 10th. That doesn't give us a big window for that.
That schedule will have to be adjusted.
Okay. The next thing is stacking wood, which I would assume doesn't happen until the wood has been milled. So that was gonna be the 12th and the 13th. And then the community garden opening, obviously, we're anticipating that April 26th. But okay, let's just be in touch. That was the only thing that jumped out to us that, hey, from a liability standpoint, let's just make sure we're good to go on that.
Does the pumpkin chucking include pumpkin catching?
No catching.
That's also under discussion. There was some concern about food waste, right? Or, I don't know, was it a giant slingshot? Inner tube, you run backwards and you shoot the pumpkin across the field.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'll
mean,
note that
that's-
pumpkin chunking was the only thing not included in the Donahue master plan that we had several years
You're not gonna
ago.
light them, are you?
What's that?
The Romans lit them.
Dave's thinking
We're gonna ride them?
back. Dave's thinking back when you put gas in them.
And,
I'm thinking of the Romans.
and Dave, so you know,
After it rains.
I don't want to write checks that, out of somebody else's account per se, but when we had that meeting the other day, the Zoom call with Carla in regards to, and the CCA has jumped full on board with the pollinator component at the town village sign. Dave Howerson, we've got to figure out like what type of material we're gonna use to build the raised beds. We talk about going 10 feet in either direction, maybe have them be 3 foot high, 2.5 foot high, whatever it is. But then I've volunteered that we would have some volunteers from either the garden club or the youth garden club, the community garden folks, that we could use composting material, organic material from down at the farm, which I think would be a wonderful way to cross-pollinate, literally and figuratively, those raised flower beds, and maybe get the kids involved. And then Nicole and Kate and her team from CCAC are going to pick out the pollinators that we're gonna put in. And this is really gonna be the hood ornament that everybody's gonna look at, because the connector trail ain't gonna happen for another year or so with the delays from the Department of State, but at least this will be something people can look at and get excited about. So if you guys could just save some organic material and maybe get some folks that might wanna volunteer and help out. Obviously, Dave's guys will be doing the heavy equipment stuff, but maybe we'll get some people together and we'll volunteer from the board too, and just kinda, throw in and do a community day there.
Sounds good.
All right, okay. Last thing that I have, and then if you guys have anything else while we got you here, the resident roof at the Donahue Farm property. So we've talked about this, I've talked about this with Dave, mentioned it to the board as far as budgeting right now. We did not budget for a $50,000 roof right now. And we have dug deep into our available fund balance for good things and righteous things. But to do it, and my feeling on this, and I'll see if the board feels differently, my feeling is, if we're gonna do it, we should do it right, and it should be done with the same type of roof that the rest of the buildings have. Keep it consistent, and it's gonna be, easier to maintain, and it's gonna last long. That makes sense, but there's a difference between $30,000 and $50,000, and that's taxpayer dollars. But I would have to figure out a way, and I did not get a chance to talk to Megan today about it. She's barely keeping her head above water, handling the deputy village treasurer duties. Paula's been out dealing with some medical stuff, and we're keeping her in our prayers, and we're hoping she's back out tomorrow. But Megan's had to pick up that slack. I did not get a chance to ask her about this, but say, where could we find that money? Because $50,000 is a pretty big chunk. I know it can't wait until New York Forward money comes forward, and I don't even know if we could be able to crowbar that into that. We'd probably have to figure out another way to do it. And it doesn't make sense. If you tell me right now that is she taking water, is there damage up there where there's an emergency? That changes things. If it's not necessarily an emergency, then maybe we could look at it, and I'll sit down with the deputy mayor and the treasurer, and we'll sit down and look at and figure out a way. I just hate to dip into contingency funds this early in the budget, since we just passed a budget. But obviously, we'd want it to be, I think, does everybody agree that we should keep it the same down there on the residence home?
Yeah, I
Until
think.
we can figure out how to pay for it, or until it leaks.
Oh,
Which
no,
is a
well,
shame. You don't wanna
you're
wait.
saying.
Oh, keep it the same roof, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it should be consistent, it should all look,
Dave,
yeah.
how bad is the roof?
So it's up there in age now. It's starting to show it's not leaking. We verified that
Okay.
fairly recently that it's not leaking, and we're very well aware of all the budgeting. We were told to go
Okay.
get a price on it, so that's
Yeah.
Okay.
So whenever you,
gonna
at this
require
point,
free
unless you guys
prices.
have heard any different, it's not leaking. So
Yeah.
I would say
And-
that let's plan for it. We're gonna need a new roof.
Yeah, and I don't look at the metal roof as a luxury. I think that we should keep it consistent. That place should look consistent and look as rustic as it used to look. And then it's gonna be easier for us. We don't have to deal with, putting a new roof on every 20 years or 25 years. So let me play around with that. Stay in touch with me on that. Obviously, if something happens catastrophic, we jump into it and we handle it. But for now, let me see if I can figure out a way to make the money happen.
My assessment is it's not emergency yet, but like.
Okay.
I think Superintendent Halverson you looked like you wanted to say something. Sorry, maybe you didn't. I'm not to put you on the spot. I thought you were gonna say something.
I think we should budget for it for the next budget cycle.
Yeah.
We didn't budget for that. We've kept as we've tried to keep everything in line.
Right.
My building maintenance line, there's not enough in there to cover that roof, let alone the other stuff that we're doing in the buildings.
That was my
To
initial
dip
thought,
into
too, Dave.
contingency
That's what I was asking
or
Dave, how
fund
bad
balance
is it?
the
Yeah.
first week of our budget,
I would say
I
I would
think
do
is a
that
bit
if
much.
it's leaking.
Okay.
Yeah, week one sounds.
I know we were very lucky with the ice house, because what was the donation to the roof on the ice house?
56,000.
How much?
56 by 3.
Wow.
Three people.
Wow. Okay. All right. But let's stay in touch on that. And if possible, even before Deke gets back, unless you think it doesn't make sense to meet before he gets back, and if you tell me that, I'm okay with it. But if we can, maybe to talk about some of those things involving ingress and egress and people driving where they're not supposed to, and
I think we should do that, definitely.
yeah, what could we do without putting up a god-awful fence down there?
I myself, what I would like to do
Turn it
now
off with
is put
temporary
up some
chains.
4-foot small green posts
Yeah.
and use the yellow rope like the town
Yeah.
does around and security areas so people don't drive through there. The
For
ground
now,
is
yeah.
soft,
And just put,
it's only gonna get softer,
yeah.
and
What about, Doris just mentioned, what about something more natural? What about rocks?
Big ones,
rock.
like big boulders strategically placed.
We got a good deal of logs down there.
I'm trying,
log sideways.
I'm also trying to think for mowing and access.
That's true. That's
And we
true.
can keep it
Gotcha.
So that people cannot drive back there, because they're rutting the property up, and when
put
we
some
go to mow,
signage up.
it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, put some.
Again,
For
we're
the
trying
guy
to avoid
mowing.
putting a bunch of
Yeah,
signs
not
down
too
there
many.
too.
And then there's also,
It's gonna be temporary.
if I recall, Scenic Hudson
Once
was,
the summer comes, you can take it down.
Yeah, it's a temporary fence, it's not permanent,
yeah.
we don't have to go to
yeah.
Killing us.
and ask them to do that.
All right, but let's do this before Deke gets back, look at it, and then Dave, you can take it back to your committee, and then you folks discuss it and say what the highway superintendent is recommending, is that okay with the committee? Is that gonna fit with the aesthetics? Is that gonna serve the safety purpose that we need and the protection of the property that we need? And is it not gonna be an eyesore?
Yeah, I mean,
The garden's gonna start, people are gonna start driving down
Yes.
there, people
Yes.
don't like walking.
It's exigent circumstance, what you're saying, so we need to get it done as soon as
I,
possible.
myself, I would do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think from the purposes of just trying to stop it from getting worse right now, that,
Yeah.
you know, let's
Yeah.
face it, metal, T-posts.
So are you
and-
speaking on behalf of the
Yellow
Donahue
Road.
Committee, and are you okay with the highway superintendent making a remediation down there?
A temporary remediation, absolutely.
Dave? Just got the okay. So, can I go down there with you tomorrow? Can you just show me what that's gonna look like? Cause I can't envision it, but can you show me what that's gonna look like? Okay, but Dave Work, you're good with
Yeah,
that?
and it's temporary, right? We'll
Yeah.
resume operations,
Figure
we'll
something
figure
out,
out what
yeah.
the.
But if you don't
Dave
get
Halverson,
something
when you
up,
say temporary green posts, you
somebody's
mean-
gonna
you
go
mean
in
the-
there with a pickup and they're
like
gonna
the
get stuck.
wire fence posts
Then
that
they're
we use,
really
but-
gonna make
yeah.
a mess.
Yeah, not like wooden 4x4 posts.
No, no, no,
Temporary.
I actually,
Okay.
I made sure they're available for pickup tomorrow.
I have a bunch in my shed.
It's not gonna take much to keep people from out of the mud
No.
dog.
Yeah.
Good,
Gotta keep 'em
okay,
I
done.
mean, I'm more concerned, they already ruined the front. Mike's guys, when they did the water leak, or the water service down there, they topsoil seeded, had grass growing. That's gone. That's all gone.
And we don't know who dropped off the
I,
logs?
there was
I'm
not
asking Dave
any
Work.
of, anybody that I brought in.
No, I'm asking Dave Work.
I am unaware of where the logs, exactly what
Alright.
you.
I can tell you there's enough lumber to build a log house there.
I talked to Deke today, he did not know where.
Yeah, did not know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Just
All right,
the log
Dave,
fairy.
Dave, Dan,
nice, the log fairy
anything else
stuff,
on the, anything else on
I
the
mean,
Donahue stuff? Anything else the board should know?
More
Windsor.
than halfway signed up for the community garden for 25, and we're rolling.
Excellent.
And that's with the
think
doubling
word
the
was
size
out
of
that
it and everything.
Logs were welcome.
Excellent.
Somebody just-
All right. Any other questions for Dan and or Dave? No? Gentlemen, thanks. You're welcome to stay. But thank you for
guys.
coming. Okay, let's move on.
Next week, you said? When's your next meeting?
Next week, yeah? Next week? Yeah, next week for.
Your next,
Day
Donnie.
after election day.
19th, March 19th. Okay, that's Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's right here on the.
Okay, let's go ahead and do the monthly department reports. I will handle the treasurer's report for March 24th
Well, we're just,
Yep.
what is this, the work session, right?
for the work session. Yep. So for February, the monthly water report, the village was $140,688.06. Town was $246,372.05, totaling $387,060.11. Warrant number 2 is not ready yet. Year-to-date revenue and expenditure reports by fund. General fund revenue, $4,545,788.38, with expenditures of $5,507,369.97. Water fund revenues of $4,305,887.51. Expenditures of $2,966,154.55, and sewer funds revenue listed at $456,723.47, with expenditures of $309,599.69. For a grand total in receipts of $9,416,208.24, or 107.3527% in anticipated revenues, and $8,858,071.71, or 100.9895% in anticipated expenditures through the month of February. Balance collected for sewer capital, $686,560.58 through the month of February. And furthermore, notes, night class interest right now, year-to-date, as of 2/28/2025, $5,702.72. Sincerely, Megan Gishwin, Village Treasurer. And I was gonna ask her today, and I forgot, if the money has been moved over on behalf of the Water Department and on the village, because we were bumping the money up in night class. So, Mike, do you know the answer about the water system? No?
I do not.
All right. I know they were working on it.
Okay.
Hope
right,
it
'cause
wasn't
we-
done last week.
Yeah. Okay,
Question on, are we, bleh. Our fiscal year begins March 1st, is that right?
March
So we-
1st.
So we were at 100.98 for the prior fiscal year in expenditures, so we made our budget, 0.9, plus 0.9. And then we collected a little over, so we had a little bit of a budget surplus at the end of the year, right?
I think
And
you're reading that
anticipated-
accurately.
Yeah, okay.
We've started taking in taxes. Tax bills are due. This is the new fiscal year.
That's, so the next month's report will reflect that,
Yes.
right? Yeah. And then, yeah, night class, I just realized interest. So I guess we're collecting interest out of night class, but we're keeping our principal as is. And the interest,
The interest, I believe, just stays in
It
NICLAS.
stays there and it gets
And we just
compounded.
compound it.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
And remember, it is liquid.
need to learn
so-
more.
Yeah, it is liquid, so we are able to retrieve those funds if necessary.
Yeah.
Okay, next item is the building department. Who's got the building department?
Well, in the work session, we typically just look at these and.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry,
You
we're
got
work
used to sitting
section.
in
I
the
am.
dais.
Yeah.
Is
No,
mine
we
switches.
need you. Happy you're here. So, Mr. Code Enforcement Officer, anything to report out on or anything that the board should know about your report for February?
No additional information.
How are things down at the building department?
They're moving along.
Busy.
We are using more the software, the building permitting software now. We tweaking it a little bit more to make it more user-friendly. The idea is hopefully by the end of this year, we can open it up to the general public. So they can go directly themselves and apply for building permit through that.
Okay. No, not now.
We
Yeah,
won't
yeah,
be
yeah.
paperless, though, will we,
Yeah,
Manny?
yeah.
Will we be
Yeah.
paperless eventually?
Yeah, try to go
Wow.
paperless, yes.
Okay.
Really? Well, that counts towards climate smart.
So you would apply
Four
for
point-
your
4 points
building permit through the,
A portal.
The portal, yeah.
eventually.
And then
I
you
work,
would-
right? Is that a different one?
then you would enter your questions or concerns back into the portal. And then we would look at them and then answer back through there. So, I mean, there would still be meetings with you, right?
Oh, yeah, we can still have meetings, all that still will be available, but we're just gonna become a 24/7 building department, if you will.
Got it. But you'll still take written,
Yes, well, at the beginning, we will, eventually, we wanna get it to the point where we don't have to, but if somebody comes and says, look, I can't figure it out, I don't have a computer, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, we'll.
yeah, okay. Yeah, you gotta have an option for
Yeah, we'll keep
people like
that.
me.
I
Or if
was,
they're known violators.
I was not able to link up with that resident that had wanted to, see violations. I will. Anything new today in regards to issues with the noise ordinance?
They received a phone call today from that property owner, he wanted to sit down and start, initiating the building permit process to take care of a lot of the issues there.
That happened today,
That happened today,
after our meeting this morning.
yes, sir.
But that's in regards to.
That's the home- that's the
Yeah, no, I know,
property
I know
owner,
what you're
yeah.
talking about, yeah. So, but that's in regards to the noise or regards to the structures,
Or
of the
all.
above, the noise, the structure, the vehicle.
everything?
The roof,
All right.
So you actually spoke to him?
yes, sir.
Did it happen to come up in the conversation whether or not he still owns that rather large
It's still
team
there,
of dogs?
so, yeah, that's still there, but some of those vehicles have been removed.
No,
Okay.
the
The dogs,
animals.
the
Yeah.
dogs.
Not the dogs, the, commercial vehicle.
Got it. Okay. Fire truck is still there though.
We also agree that he's gonna let me come do an inspection on the properties before we go to court next time, which is towards the end of this month.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, what's the date up? It's like the
The 20th, yeah.
25th or something?
First, yeah.
All right. I will follow up with the neighbor tomorrow and just advise what you said. You're in tomorrow at 5?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. If I have any questions, I'll reach out to you.
Okay.
Dave?
Resident.
Okay. I did. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
What's this
Okay,
from?
all right, any other questions for the building inspector?
The guy
Any
from-
questions for the building inspector?
Wasn't one of them two.
Okay, fire department. Mr. Commissioner, sir.
Sure.
Anything, anything that the board should be made aware of off of the report?
Do you need an explanation on a bailout system?
I was curious about
Item
that.
number,
A bailout prop.
item number 2,
Right?
Assistant Chief Trainer can explain to you what the bailout system is.
Nice handoff, Rick. So I forget exactly the year. You might remember the year that the New York State instituted this. Several years ago, New York State required that fire departments issue bailout equipment to their firefighters so that if they ever get trapped inside a burning building, you know, of any elevation, second floor, third floor, they can get out of a window at a moment's notice.
Because of Black Sunday with the FDNY.
Correct.
Where firefighters jumped out of a third floor window and they did not
Correct.
have rappel gear.
Yep. So you're required to train on that once a year, and show that you're proficient with that. Typically, we would use our neighboring department, Vales Gates Training Center, to do that. That's been limited availability due to the construction going on over there. So what a number of fire departments have done is they've built their own training prop at the fire stations inside. So that's what we've done. I actually need to speak with Mr. Carmona there to come take a look at it, so that we'll be able to train our new members, our existing members, right there at the firehouse. So.
Okay. And so essentially that's just like it's just like a stairwell or something?
It's like a tower with a stairwell with an opening window and you just propel yourself from there.
Got it.
That's somewhere where you
Okay.
can hook your rope.
Got it. Which is just like a rappel tower in the military.
Yeah, but it's inside the firehouse because we have a loft area.
Got it. All right.
So.
Okay. All right, anything else, Mr. Commissioner? Anything else to add?
No.
Okay, Mr. Assistant Chief?
The replacement engine 412, we expect to get that back this week from Fire Max Supply with the servicing all done and hopefully get it in service here in a short period of time.
All right. Any other
And-
questions?
Just one last thing, we've been informed the pumper tanker is still on schedule to be delivered December of 2026.
And no, that's good. And Mike, in regards to the gentleman that we hired a few weeks ago,
The insurance.
The appraiser?
with respect to the insurance claim,
Oh, right.
Commissioner, yes.
So I did confirm with their office, they did receive the payment. They have not responded back to my request as to the status of their report. I'll follow up again tomorrow.
Okay. All right, moving on to the PD. Chief Dixon, anything to report?
The only thing I just wanna make you aware of, this came in actually today.
Chief, hit the disc. Yeah, make it green. There you go.
This came in today, after our morning meeting, the annual intermunicipal agreement between the village and the county of Orange for us to participate in Stop DWI.
Yep.
I just wondering when we get the resolutions, if we could just, I can mention this again.
That just means that it's just a relationship that we pass a resolution for every year saying that we're gonna work with them on the Stop
Correct.
DWI.
Correct.
Okay. Yep, just remind me when we get there.
Very good, thank you.
Actually, Jim, should we just do it now?
Can do it now.
We have to
Got it.
open a meeting.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
Yeah.
It'd be better to do it later when
Could
we
be
have the
a
others.
I mean, I guess all these.
Yeah, we'd have to go into a special meeting to do it.
Are we doing all these tonight?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yep, so we'll do it then.
just Wait for it then.
Okay, all right, Chief, just remind me.
Thank you.
Department of Public Works, David.
Just under the notes there, I scheduled the spring bulk cleanup for the 28th. I'm kind of crossing my fingers and toes, hoping that we'll have the garbage truck out and back by then. I'm still waiting for the parts to come in, so hopefully that'll be done by then, but if not, we'll work around it.
Okay. The 5 pilings that the ice flow took out this year, obviously our new dock is safe because we pulled it out and stacked it, but we're gonna have to drive 5 additional pilings down into the
Yeah, So it's just another added cost, and the yacht club, I'm sure, will cooperate and assist with us to do
All
it.
right. And they've got the equipment that does it, the driver?
Yeah, they bought a new one last year, or the year, yeah, I think it was last year, they bought a new pile driver last year, so hopefully.
Excellent.
When does that normally go in, Dave?
We usually try to get it in the beginning of April, it's all gonna be about,
Yeah.
cause it's,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a process to do. We have to, pick a nice calm day, when the river's calm, at
Low tide?
put all the docks together and float them out there, and then mark the spots in the river where the pilings have to be driven in.
So this is an all day, this is.
Oh, yeah, it's not a thing.
Got it.
You can't mark it with paint, that disappears.
You have to leave a
So we have to drive, we have to put
train of fish.
posts in and drive them
And
into
that takes a
the.
ton of your manpower too to be devoted to that.
It's a day's work for,
Yeah,
4 guys.
yeah, all right,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
So hopefully we'll get, and I have to pick up the pilings yet, cause we're gonna have to purchase those. There's a supplier in Newburgh that basically buying telephone poles. They're not cheap either.
No, because they have to be treated, right? Okay. Okay. Lori Beth just pointed out that there's a lot of extra wood down at the farm in case you're looking for anything.
But you can't drive to pick it up.
That's
And,
right. Yeah, don't go over the fence for putting up.
I offered, we'll go down and get it out of there, that's not a problem. Somebody will be more than happy to take that, it's all oak.
But
It was delivered for a reason.
Yeah, for the milling and stacking class. That's why I'm a little.
And on a side note, for the trustees that don't know, we had a tree incident over the weekend.
Yeah, I saw it.
And,
Big
Saw that.
on Saturday.
We were in on Saturday for about 5 hours. Had a large oak tree, just fell over.
And
And,
50 much
mile an
damage
hour
to the
winds.
house? I couldn't tell from the picture, it hit the porch.
it's not really that bad. The homeowner is enjoying their time right now on vacation. So unfortunately, they got a phone call to let them know, but the tree was cleaned up, everything's cleaned up, they're waiting on their insurance company now.
Okay.
There is some damage to their home, the tree was not rotten, there was nothing wrong other than the wind knocked it over.
All right. Yeah.
It didn't snap, it uprooted.
It did, it pulled it out by the roots. Yeah.
Did you drop that tree off at Donahue Farm?
No, I did not, it's all down in our yard. It was,
All right.
All right,
A bit of
anything
work.
else?
Let's sell that and use it to cover the cost of the roof.
we cut it in small enough pieces that we could move it, so you're not gonna do a lot of milling with it.
Big oak is.
All right, next is New Windsor and Cornwall EMS. I guess Michael, Chief Big points out 348 calls for. All right, I'll do water after. I'm already in it. 348 calls for service, the slowest month in 14 months. A decrease from January of 100 calls. Again, 100% coverage of calls in the primary response areas. The rest of it's all good news. Response times, New Windsor, 7 minutes and 7 seconds. Cornwall, 6 minutes and 13 seconds. Cornwall-on-Hudson, 6 minutes and 28 seconds. So, you can read the rest of it.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, water, Michael. How did I miss water? Where did that go?
Nothing out of the ordinary to report on that.
That's
Simple,
okay. That's all right.
normal operations. Just I have on there 2 requests for authorization for purchase and training. I will note that I learned today that we had a tree fall on our Black Rock filtration plant. Not actually on the treatment building itself, but on the clear well structure. So we're gonna go up this week, clear that out and repair the roof and whatnot.
Okay. All right, anything else?
Nope.
I understand at least one smart meter has been installed.
Yes.
That's excellent.
At least, along those lines, yes, thank you for that. So we did that smart meter initiative, what was it, a year or so ago? And we ended up with having 29 properties that still have the old antiquated meter on it. I think we're down to 24. We gave a second round of, hey, we gotta get this done. Our equipment is becoming obsolete to read those old meters. So the village is going to have to make a decision here in the near future of how we're gonna handle those meters. Because we're not gonna be able to read them accurately. They're gonna be estimated, and they're either gonna be underestimated or overestimated, although we're pretty accurate at estimating. But there's gonna be some discrepancy there, and, something's gonna have to give to get those meters
We've gone
replaced.
through 2 iterations of notices, Mike, you said?
We've went through, they've probably gotten at least 4 notices.
You got an extra one.
And they're being
You
charged.
know,
And
I
you're
don't,
getting $75 a month, right?
and these people are paying $75 every billing cycle to keep the old meter. I don't know if it comes down to having to increase that fee, or possibly terminating water service until it gets
This
replaced.
is the crap.
Do you have a sense of characteristics? Like, is there anything in common? Like, are they part-time residents? Are they renters? Like, you know,
No.
rental properties, anything
No.
like that? Like, all across the board?
Yeah, I mean, there are some that we know aren't getting them done because they're renovating the homes and the water is shut off, but they're not included in the 24 that are occupied, utilizing water and whatnot.
24 out of how many total?
So it does not include those people who have it shut off?
Correct.
So there may be more than 24 then?
No, there's only like 4 or 5 that have it shut off. It ain't many.
Okay.
So
Dave asked out of.
No, I was just wondering out of how many total?
out of 2,666.
Pretty good number.
No, we're doing very well with it, but there's just those few remaining ones. And the problem is, you know, we have to send a person out to read.
Yeah. Expensive.
But we're not gonna be able to do that once this equipment becomes obsolete. We sent it out to get repaired. We have a primary and a backup. We were able to get one of them repaired, but after this, they said they're not gonna be able to fix it animore
Have the people been contacted in person, verbally, on the phone, something like that?
I can't
Mostly?
speak for everybody, but no, I've
Right,
talked to
okay.
people face to face and.
So, let me ask you a legal question. If the meter no longer works, if the meter fails, would we be within our rights to make the change that we have to make?
Our code, when you sign up to get water from us, you basically, sign on that you will guarantee us access to service that water meter. So we're well within our rights to forcing that,
And they're in the house.
and they're in the house.
You have to go in the house.
We have to,
Yeah.
Okay.
so.
I think, look, I think
So
first,
eventually it'll happen.
it's steps. One, if we've gotta raise the amount, we double it, whatever we need to do, we give them the notice, and then I'm sure that'll take care of some of them, and then
Yeah.
if we have to go
Probably
down
at
the
least
legal
half.
path, it's then a legal notification of them that we're gonna enforce it.
Exactly.
So, we'll get there.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Real quick, because I passed it up when we were discussing the fire department. So I understand that trustee Paleota, the deputy mayor, the village clerk would like a tour of the firehouse, the space inside the house. As we begin discussing the capital reserve plan and what we're doing, and obviously the remediation to the firehouse, which we're gonna talk about in a little bit. They had asked me, and I don't know if anybody else, but they had asked me if they could see kind of the tour that I got from the captain. And Rick, were you there that time? We went upstairs and then went downstairs to the basement, just so they have an idea and a sense of what it looks like in there. Can you set that up with the captain or the chief or however you guys want to do it, and just send us some dates and say, hey, here's, we're available on Wednesday and Thursday between such and such, what works, and then I'll try to get everybody on board. All right? I just think it helps to be on the ground and see it as opposed to just hearing about
I'd
it.
go for that too. I don't know
If
if
I-
I one.
Okay? Bill,
If I
you-
may, since
Yeah.
we're still an alibi for the fire department report, the burn ban was enacted by Governor Hochul early this year because we are still in the drought period.
So we are under
And-
burn ban right now?
We are under burn ban right now, and tomorrow's a high fire risk. So just to make sure the public's aware of that,
Is that due to winds and drought conditions?
everything, yes. They had a large fire on Long Island this past summer, or this past weekend that initiated it. You're allowed to have fire pits, you're allowed to have campfires that are contained to a fireplace, but no open burning of brush or anything like that.
Mike, how much are we under with respect to water? Meaning the drought conditions, like how,
I
like for
think,
our area?
I think we're in the level 1 drought condition.
Yeah.
I think we're down about 2.5 inches of precipitation since the beginning of the year. And we didn't really recover fully from the previous year.
Okay.
So, much of the state did come back to normal,
Yeah.
but the Hudson Valley area hasn't yet.
I didn't realize. I thought with the amount of snow that we have
Yeah.
that
No.
we would have recovered
No.
completely. All right.
Nope.
But reservoirs, water supply, we're in good shape.
We are.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, but you guys can set that up and just let the board know so I can, deconflict dates and times and see who's available. Okay, all right, next item is gonna be, I'm gonna make a motion to open up the special meeting to conduct these passage of resolutions. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. First item of business is 2025-2026 insurance for the village and for the firehouse. I'm reporting to the board that the Reese Group provided an insurance proposal in the amount of $184,059.58, which is an increase of almost 14.4% from last year's premium of $160,810.29. In addition, the Reese Group provided an insurance proposal for VFIS insurance, Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson Fire Department, in the amount of $26,548, an increase of $42 from last year. According to our Reese Group representative, premiums went up, quote, across the board, close quote, this year. Our coverage from last year remains the same and is comparable. So every year, the village clerk checks and does their due diligence to find out and figure out which is the best option for the village, and agrees that, again, this year, it is the Reese Group. They do have fairly robust customer service and do answer their phones and have been available to us when needed. So I'm gonna make a motion to accept the Reese Group insurance proposals in the amount of $160,810.29, and the VFIS proposal for the firehouse in the amount of $26,548. May I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? In fact, Doris, is there anything you want to advise the board? You said that you might want to just give a little more color to this.
I just want to note that the general liability deductible increased from $0 to $5,000, and the deductible for auto increased from $1,000 to $2,500. Those are going to be two deductible increases we got, and then the property value, the property the village owns has increased, a fair amount. You see on the back there. But beyond that, that's about it.
Keep in
Oh,
mind.
that's the property value total
Yes,
that
the
we, is
property
under
value total.
coverage.
And the
I see.
increase, we budgeted for a 15% increase, and it went up by 14.4%, which she said is the lowest she's seen with the municipalities she's working with. Municipalities in general are getting harder to insure.
Keep in mind, the town also uses the Reese
Yes,
Group
they
to insure them.
They put our needs out on the market and get proposals.
Underwriters.
Yeah, they're under.
Underwriters.
Wait, the Reese Group puts out the proposals and then gets
Yes.
underwriters. What's the process by which we choose our reinsurance? Like, who do we,
Reese helps.
no, but I mean, how do we choose them? The Reese Group.
We've been using
did
them
it.
for years, and they send it out on the market, and we've had Reese has gotten us Tokyo Marine as the actual insurance company. Reese is just the broker,
Right. Okay.
but
Do
Tokyo
do
Marine does the insuring.
Did we hire them through an RFP process at some point in the past? What's the
Bill, that's a good
That's a
question.
markup.
We did.
I'm just curious
Yeah,
about the.
Jean did send it out for an RFP
Yep.
since I've been here, but I don't know how many years ago.
I vaguely recall that happening, Jim. You may have had more experience
She
from
did.
Dave,
She probably did about 8 years ago.
and then would say, this is, you're not gonna find a better one than this.
We didn't get anybody.
And you got,
Yes.
and you gotta keep in mind, 2 years ago, the town decided to opt to go with the insurance that the village is using,
It's
so.
amazing though that you go from no deductible. We had
To
no
5,000,
deductible.
yeah.
It's hard to believe we
Yeah.
had no.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next resolution is the election technician. All right, I'm gonna propose a motion to approve Joel Mendez as Election Day Field Technician, yes, that is the term, for the March 18th, 2025 village election at the rate of $200 per day. Our usual election technician, what's his name?
Ray Taraka.
Is amazing, but unfortunately, he's not available this year. So I'm sure Mr. Mendez will be as on top of it as Ray was. But may I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I guess the village runs the election, so we hire the technician, but we get the machine from the county?
Yes.
Yeah,
We-
okay.
Yes, we
But-
rent them from the county and we pay the county for them.
And presumably these guys are people that the county
Yeah.
uses and, okay.
There's a
got it.
list.
All
Yeah.
right, it's not some like, yeah, I can do it. Like,
Ray probably opted for a bigger fish.
There you go. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next item is the New York Forward IMA MOU, however you want to describe it, with the town.
That's-
Okay, this is the motion.
Well, it's a whole MOU. I don't know if we need to read the.
I'm not going to. What I'm going to do is just advise that, as I said at the beginning of the meeting when we were talking with the Donahue Committee reps, the village and the town entered into an IMA, an intermunicipal agreement, to work together on the disbursement of the spending from the $4.5 million New York Forward grant, because we were the first co-municipalities to win an award. This is the first one that the state has received. Our attorney drafted it, then sent it up. I sent it up to Josh. He shared it with his board. I'm sorry. The deputy mayor drafted it. However, our attorney did look at it after the deputy mayor drafted it. That's right, I forgot about that. And then it went uptown, and Mr. Gaba took a look at it. So I am going to make a motion to pass this resolution for this memorandum of understanding with the town of Cornwall and related to the New York Forward projects as per document. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
just a question why the grant funds management has to have a separate agreement. Is that just curious?
Wait a minute, where are you looking, Bill?
It's management of grant funds, and it says, we agree that we'll jointly manage the funds, or that the town will manage the funds and financing, which is fine with me, and that the town and village shall enter into a separate agreement concerning the same. And I just wondered.
So you're talking about the
this doesn't
joint
cover that.
projects?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a further agreement. We just needed this in place. And then this part two would be entering into agreement with respect to the actual funding and how it's managed.
Okay. So, all right.
Now, when it comes to the
Wondered if we
small
could
project fund,
Feed two birds with one seed. I just.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't want to get into the detail on this because we just want to, we
haven't
thought.
seen the funds yet.
Right, that, and we thought I did this a few months ago, and it was like, we thought this contract would already be going on, we're like, let's get this over with.
It's not on.
Thank you.
okay, got it. Okay, so the next item is, and this one is a sad one for me, because how many years ago did we hire Connor Watts? He began in the DPW, then went to the water department, and then came back to DPW. Dave, when did we hire him?
I'm sorry. Did we call the vote on that last one?
No, I think he's right.
I think we were in discussion. Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. I
Second it.
couldn't remember.
Works.
8 is the answer.
8 years?
Connor Watts.
Worked for the village for 8 years.
What's that? Worked for the village for 8 years. So I've known Connor since he was a young kid. He's the same age as my son. Really, really super young man. He's regrettably leaving the village after 8 years, part of that time in DPW, part of that time in the water department, and then back again in DPW, and actually went to the back of the garbage truck so that he could help out with the Cornwall High School football team, because the head coach and he played on the team together back in the day and both graduated in 2009. So I'm going to make a motion to accept with regret the resignation of laborer Connor Watts and to authorize village clerk Doris Wickheiser to place an advertisement in the local paper reflecting a position vacancy in the DPW. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Dave wanted us to do this tonight so that he could go ahead and get the position filled. Connor's got 1 week left, correct? So that's the reason why we're pushing it through tonight. Okay, next item is, what's the next one? Donahue Farm, we did that. Capital, okay. Yeah, we're gonna pass this on March 24th.
The next resolution are the mowers.
Oh, that's right, I'm still working off of that, because that's where my notes are. Yep, okay.
I don't know
let me
how to do
these.
the mowers really. 'cause
Okay,
I'm not-
so let's talk about that. So Dave and Mike approached me about the need to purchase these mowers. Dave, you want to give a quick heads up on what this is, why we're doing this, and what's the reason why we need to do this tonight?
Well, we've had two zero-turn mowers. One I purchased back in 2008. It was underwater. During Irene, we kept it together for as long as we could. But that one is no longer viable. So we have one. We need a second one. The amount of properties that we mow, Donahue Farm, Donahue Park, all the other areas around the village. Having two mowers is much more convenient. This will be a zero-turn Bobcat mower, the exact same model that we currently have, so all parts would be interchangeable.
Good.
And it's on New York State contract for the quoted price there.
And the price quote is $11,800?
Whatever that was, I didn't keep a copy of it for
Okay,
myself here
right.
tonight, but
Got it. It says,
7,800.
it says the MSRP is $15,499. The New York State contract price, $11,469. Freight to dealer, $453. Total cost of $11,922. But then you have underneath of that, our total quote is $11,800.
that probably comes with the service kit, the first service kit comes with that.
No, it's, Jim is saying
It's
it's
dropped,
less.
it's lower.
Yeah, it went from $11,922 to our total quote, $11,800.
That's their quote off of New York State contract.
Okay.
Oh, okay, is this coming from Chambers
That's Chambers, yes,
in Montgomery?
yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So this is one mower and it's replacing one mower, correct? Michael, while we're up and doing this,
Yep.
yours is a similar situation, correct? You're looking-
With the exception of we have one mower, we've never had two, and we've been borrowing DPWs for the last few years, and since you've added Donahue Farm and whatnot, it's becoming much more difficult to schedule everything.
Got it.
So-
Now, Michael, the one that you're proposing that water department purchase is $15,125. Why are they
Correct.
two different amounts?
His is a Bobcat, ours is a Gravely, which is the same as what we have, and we're also getting a bagger system for ours, because of a lot of our filtration plants have trees, and when we go out in the fall and we have to do all the leaf removal, the guys actually use leaf blowers and whatnot. With a bagger, we actually will be able to bag them as we're doing the mowing. It should be more time efficient for leaf removal, and that bagger is about $3,000.
All right, you obviously spoke to Megan
Yep.
today. You contacted the manufacturer, you contacted 3 other vendors, you received the price quote, you saved us $4,000. The lowest bidder for yours is the Green Acres Lawn Equipment.
Correct, out of
And
Warwick.
this is lower than the New York State Contract and Source Wheel Program.
Yes, I spoke to that gentleman today to confirm that price. I told him, I said, you're about $2,000 cheaper than everybody else, and his response was, that's because I bought 4 of them before there was a large increase in price. He goes, and I'm just looking to get back what I paid for them.
Wow. Last honest man.
It's the way I felt too.
All right, so I'm gonna do two motions. First of all, does the board have any questions for Dave or Mike over this? Or is there any anticipated resistance to making these expenditures?
Said they're in the budget.
They're in the budget.
They budgeted.
So, all right, then the first one I'm gonna do is, I am going to make a motion for, the DPW superintendent to be allowed to purchase a Bobcat ZT 7000 61-inch with Kawasaki FX 1000V 35 horsepower engine for a total price quote of $11,800. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, and in the same regard, in relation to the water department, I'd like to make a motion to allow the water superintendent to purchase a zero-turn mower from Green Acres Lawn Equipment, at the price quote of $15,125. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, that takes care of that. All right, Doris, what am I missing?
Close the special meeting.
Ah, very
one-
nice. Okay, so we already
One alibi on that?
IMA with police
Oh, I'm sorry,
department, and
IMA.
county,
IMA.
PD,
That was
the village and
Can
the
you
county.
handle this one? Chief, you
Do you have
wanna,
anything, you have anything written there?
Chief, anything on it related to it?
Just, I have the copy of the intermunicipal agreement.
Yeah, let me just take a look, chief. This is their standard IMA that
Yeah,
they
we
want
get
us
this
to
every year.
sign.
So there's 3 cycles of stuff to do why they do this before the first cycle of the year.
Okay, and it runs from, when to when?
The first
Chief?
cycle, I believe, starts actually today.
March 10th,
Yeah.
okay,
It goes all the way, it goes all the way to New Year's Eve. New Year's Day.
okay. January 1st, 2026, okay. Okay, so then I will make a motion that the Village of Cornwall-on-Hudson enters into an intermunicipal agreement with Orange County commencing March 10th today through January 1st of 2026 with respect to its implementation of the Stop DWI program, correct?
Correct, the grant funding.
Grant funding for the same, as detailed in the intermunicipal agreement provided by Orange County, and includes 6 pages. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? This is something we do annually, so it's nothing out of the ordinary. Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, I'll make a motion to then go out, sir.
I did have on the agenda to authorize 2 members of the water department to go to training. I'm not sure if you actually have to take a vote on that, but.
I don't think so, but I'll present it to the board. I obviously gave you the okay. Michael, explain the two, the purpose of this training and the 2 employees that are gonna be doing it and how you're going to allow them to do it.
Okay. So Joe McCormick and Lou Dela Cruz, they are the last 2 remaining employees of the water department that do not have a grade D water operator's license. A grade D water operator's license allows you to make repairs to the water main system, fire hydrants, in line with all the rules and regulations without direct supervision. They are offering this class. It's a 24-hour class that they're offering at Ulster County Community College. It's a remote learning class, so they'll be able to take it from home. The only caveat to that is it's a class in the evening. So in speaking with both Lou and Joe, as well as Andy Stathis, the president of the CSEA, they've agreed to make that class part of their workday. It's only for the month of April. It's 2 days a week. That way they'll be able to get out earlier during the day and get their afternoon work done that they do on their own schedule and still attend this class at 6 p.m. And the village won't incur any overtime costs for that.
And it is compliant with the contract according to the, no, I was gonna say PBA, the CSEA president.
Yep.
Anybody have a problem with that?
Nope.
All right, do we need a resolution for that? Or
The cost is $1,450 for both of
we
them.
probably need a resolution for that.
Yeah.
But I don't think we need a resolution for you to, how you schedule your employees. I don't think the board has a problem with that. Do we need to do one for the cost of the training?
If we're gonna do it, we might as well just include it.
All right, you wanna do it?
What's the name of the,
Jim.
Near,
oh, wait, hold on.
It'll
I
be
thought I didn't
easier
have
if
that
you
one.
read
Okay,
it.
hold on, here we go. Yes. Okay.
Second paragraph works.
Got it, yeah. All right, so, all right, I'm gonna make a motion to permit the superintendent of the water department to authorize Joseph McCormick and Lou Dela Cruz to attend the grade D distribution operator training class that commences April 1st, 2025. It's a remote learning class offered by the Ulster County Community College, and the training consists of 2 3-hour evening classes per week during the month of April. The cost is a total of $1,450 for the two gentlemen. May I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that was, obviously, since that was a resolution, now I'm gonna make a motion to close the, no, I don't need to close it, right? Or close it at the end, right?
Don't you have that one more?
I don't think so. I think the
No,
rest.
that's just informational.
Oh, okay.
I think we can just close it.
We can close it unless we anticipate any other resolutions.
Well, you know what? Let's keep it open because I want to discuss the firehouse cracks. All right? So
Okay.
let's do that. Okay, so the next item under other business is the firehouse emergency repair. This is something that our DPW superintendent, who maintains the facility, the firehouse, worked with our engineers to get essentially Dave, this is a quote on what needs to be done as provided by our engineer and an outside company, New York City Excavation, and what it would cost for them to do this, correct?
Unfortunately, I haven't seen the quote itself yet. I've seen a video of, I haven't got it yet, so.
You want it?
Yeah, I would love to see it.
Well, who did this go to? How did I get this and you didn't get it?
well, what happened, it went to me, and when I forwarded it,
Yes.
when I forwarded it to Dave,
It didn't have the attachment.
and then I re-forwarded this afternoon, late in the day, probably after Dave
Got it.
left for the
Okay,
day.
got it.
And this is just one of several things that needs to be done, correct?
This, now, from our walk with the engineers and the code enforcement officer's violations from 2 years ago, this was, I would say, Manny, would it be fair to say, of the most grave concern of the issues and concerns at the firehouse? The floor settling, the cracked concrete, the fact that it's on fill, those are all things to consider as we go forward. The condition of the basement, the condition of upstairs. But the biggest issue were the fissures between the cinder block walls.
That is correct,
All right. Now, I was a little taken aback when I saw the number. I mean, it's essentially $60,000. But it's not as simple as just squirting spackle in there or squirting concrete. It's a little bit more involved than that. I'd like to see that too, because I basically got the billing from them. But as far as like what the work would, what would the work would entail?
Is there, Manny, is there Durawall in there now?
What's Durawall?
Durawall's when you put layers of mesh between the block.
Well,
I
Dave,
would think that
1978, would that have been a thing?
real good construction it would
But
be.
the cracks on those cinder blocks, chances are that there is none.
Yeah.
Those cracks are just too.
I mean, you can put your hand through them.
I believe it, I've seen them.
You can put your hand to them.
Did Pitangaro and Deutsch
That
put
makes
out
a big
an
difference,
RFP?
though.
And this is a quote that we got as a result? Or is
No,
it
they
just
didn't
they
put
were?
out, they didn't put out an RFP to my understanding. They sent the specs. And and this was just because, is this one of the few companies that does this? Would be my understanding.
Like I said, I haven't had a chance to talk to our engineer about it yet,
Okay.
or really review this. What I did do was the email that Mike sent me. There was a link to
The manufacturer.
Yeah, the manufacturer, Simpson Strong Ties is the manufacturer of the product that they will be putting in the wall. I watched their video and tutorial on that. It makes a lot of sense what they're talking about and how they go about it, but like I said, I didn't have a chance to talk to the engineer yet about
Okay.
it or review the quote, and
Can you,
as we said, this could be an emergency project to be done, but
Yes.
we should
which
review
means
it.
we wouldn't have to bid it out essentially.
We should have a little more time to review it. I don't think we want to approve this quote this evening.
No, not tonight.
Yeah, no.
But what I'm gonna ask you, Dave, is let's discuss this before the March
Yes, we'll
twenty-fourth
have it
meeting.
prepared for the March 24th
And I'd
meeting,
like to have
correct?
it approved if this is the route we go and you tell us that, you know, here's the engineer gave the specs, this meets it, and the reason why it's an emergency repair, I get that piece of it, but the reason why you're using this company is because they're the only ones that do this, or, you know, the other
Right.
quotes would be potentially higher, whatever it is, and make sure it's on the agenda for the meeting on the 24th.
Right, from the video I saw, it makes sense.
Okay? Do we know approximately how long this effort would be? Is it a day project? Is it a
Oh,
week project?
Judging by what I saw, this is going to be probably a considerably long period of time to get it done.
Got it.
It's not as simple as,
Just squirting stuff in the cracks.
No.
They're gonna be grinding
Good question to ask.
every other row of block wherever the cracks are,
So there's no durability.
20 inches on each side of the crack, inserting these pieces
Wow.
in grout and then grouting over them and grouting in
So
between.
the spot where the cracks are will actually be stronger than the rest of the cinder blocks probably by the time they're done.
Yeah, so it looks like it's gonna be done on the outside of the building is the best way to do it, especially since the firehouse just invested in painting the inside of the building.
Got it. Now, will you notice that from the outside or do they blend
Oh,
it
you'll
in?
notice it while they're doing it, but when they're done, it's gonna look like stucco, but it's gonna have a different color to it. It'll take a while for it to blend in, I'm sure.
And where are we thinking that this 60,000 is coming from?
Well, we're in a new budget, so, I mean, would it be coming out of the
Firehouse
firehouse
maintenance line.
line? Firehouse maintenance line. Any other questions from the board? So we're tabling this
Yeah.
till we get the full specs, until you talk to the engineer, and then we decide that this is the route to go, and this will be an emergency repair 2 years later.
Fair enough.
All right. Okay, next item is, that's firehouse repair, Donahue Farm roof repair, we discussed that. The Cornwall-on-Hudson Welcome Committee request, this is Mrs. Maureen Buckley, who came in to see me again today to ask if the village would still like her and her daughter-in-law to be our welcome committee. Out of their own funds, they have been doing this for the last couple of years. They bought a number of bags. They had the village seal painted on the front of it. They did all the printing, paid all the printing costs. She brought in again today to show me, you know, what they put out, you know, as far as where things are and just some standard stuff. Essentially, they're looking for seed money, and if the village would still like to have them do it. But since they went out of pocket to get it off the ground and to do it, what is the village's board feeling on expending $500 to give them the seed money to buy new bags and to get the paint put on them and to do more printing? And we don't even have to, if it doesn't cost the full $500, we can just ask her to submit receipts.
And have they been hitting everybody who buys a house?
Now they've done a number of them, but they felt like, I guess in the last year or so, they ended up where people weren't home, or maybe people weren't comfortable opening the door to strangers, but they've been hanging them on people's doors. So if they don't actually interface with a person, they literally hang the bags, and it's a nice bag. It's a canvas tote bag, and they have the village seal that's painted, and her son Sean donated the money for them to do it, and I'm sure it was over $500, their initial outlay.
So there's nothing inside the bag, it's the bag itself?
We can put anything in the bag that we want to. When this first came to the board a couple of years ago, well, I'm saying, if you wanted to put a schedule to this, or, you know, Little League that, or whatever, but when we first did this, I think that I don't wanna say they were looking for a little bit more direction, but any ideas or thoughts that would come from the board, I think they'd be happy to hear them. It's a very, you know, I don't wanna say it's very streamlined, but we could put vendor stuff in there. We could put, a list of restaurants. We could put, Donahue Farm schedule, the special Cornwall-on-Hudson Special Events Committee stuff.
All the events, I mean,
Yes.
from the chamber.
Yeah, there's a ton.
But again,
well,
it's-
Does the chamber do anything like
so
that?
that's the thing.
The chamber used to, and then I think the issue was, did we want to do something different in the village? And I know you got to be careful because we always step on people's toes when somebody, we want to do this. Well, we already do this. So no, this is a separate village thing. Now, I do believe the chamber has in the past done something. I don't know if they still do. That's a question I could easily ask Scott Teresi.
Yeah, I would think I would wanna know, does the chamber do anything? And then also check into where they're getting the bags and how much they're costing to put the emblem on and all that, cause there's a lot of places you can go and get them. Things like that for,
I 100% agree, but again, it's like
They did.
volunteers that are just doing it and taking it off of.
if we're gonna pay for it, we wanna be sure that we're not overspending.
Yeah.
I'd say, I would say I'm in favor, subject request of them that they speak to the chamber and see if there's any room for some kind of synergy there first. And if it comes back, if the talks break down, they can come back to us and I would say we could
Bill, I
fund
think
it at
that is
that level.
a extremely diplomatic means to an end, and I concur. So I can facilitate that. Okay, that's that. The next one is the capital reserve request and tower ladder replacement funding. You'll recall, we had a discussion, a presentation at last month's work session where I had Chief Quinn and Commissioner Jampol come in and provide a presentation to the board, of which you all have a two-page document that lays out what they are recommending or asking the village to consider. At that time, and then after further reflection and consideration, I was of the mind that a $500,000 investment into a capital reserve fund for firehouse apparatus and/or future repairs to the firehouse could possibly be included in that. And then $100,000 a year that would come out of unallocated, well, it would become allocated after this, but come out of fund balance to be put away into this. $900,000 I felt was too much of an expenditure out of the fund balance. $500,000 I thought was fair. I met with the chief. You weren't there, Rick, were you? And the assistant chief. Mike, who else was there? Was it just you two?
Commissioner
and
Butkus.
Commissioner Butkus. I met with the three of them last week in the morning, and they were inquiring as to where we were as a board. I've discussed this with the deputy mayor, who at the time appeared to be online with that plan. I've not discussed it with the rest of the board since that work session meeting, and I am open to continuing further discussions, but if the board is in support of this, I would like to pass a resolution on Monday, March 24th to set this up. Does anybody have any feelings one way or the other right now? Actually, does anybody have any feelings against it or think that it's not a good idea or see it differently?
Is the mummy? Is the money kept in a separate account that is?
Yeah.
It's allocated and
It's
it's
not
encumbered
fungible
and
and
we
it's not
can't-
liquid
yeah.
and it's
And
yeah.
there's no kind of conditional release possibility in case like
There's nothing.
Are you getting at whether, because I have the same, I wanted to check this, and that is, one, I support the $500,000. I don't have an issue with that.
And the
Two,
recurring 100,000.
Well,
Yeah.
the intent is to put $100,000 in there.
And the schedule I saw makes
You can't sit here
sense.
and guarantee that you're gonna get 100,000 depending upon what way the village, if the village continues on the path that it's going now, sure, I could see $100,000 every year. But the other thing I was looking at is, I know this is earmarked towards the ladder replacement fund. This is a capital account, a capital line. So what I don't wanna do is, I don't want to just, if we're gonna continue to put money in it, I don't want to just earmark direct only for the apparatus. I want the ability to include the building too, if we need that money to make they're not even repairs, they're renovations, they're capital improvements. That's what I want to make sure of. And then the last thing is, and this is just an emergency situation that, and I'm sure it can happen, and that is, once you put it into the capital line, can you remove it from the capital line just in case the economy hits the, goes down? And then we're in things go sideways, is the best way I could say it. Can we take money out of that capital, from that capital line?
Would there be attached penalties for that? I'm guessing, right?
That I'd have to ask you.
Or could you even, maybe it's illegal to
Yeah.
touch it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was thinking sort of similarly, catastrophic flood damage, and all of a sudden we have some kind of
Yeah.
major expense,
Or our general fund is dwindling.
or
So who
or
knows?
property valuations drop, and all of a sudden we don't have
Right,
enough,
and people just need to recognize in regards to the apparatus that we're buying, we'll have it, what'd you say, Mike, 2026?
Yeah, December
The
2026.
current one that's on order is 2026. And if you go with the purchase of a new tower ladder, that's 1,300 days out from the day you sign the contract. So that's almost 4 years.
So, and just for, again, for people to realize too, it's, all this money is not gonna go directly towards the apparatus, because we would bond out the money. We would, just like we do at Donahue Farm, we'll put a down payment down, and the rest of it gets bonded
Correct.
out. So taxpayers now are not paying, living here now, are not paying for an apparatus that's gonna last 30 years when everyone else
Correct.
gets the benefit, but they get to pay for everything.
Correct.
So people just need to recognize that. So this is, it's a good setup. It's a good setup. I just want to find out from Paula or Megan in
Yeah,
regards
who would,
to-
I was just gonna say,
That'd be a Megan.
That'd be a Megan question.
You know what it would be too? It would be our accountants.
Justin.
Yes, he would know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so I can have Megan research that. I think the board is amenable to the $500,000 and establishing this
Yes.
because
and it's
That would
it's a
also-
model of planning. I
That
think.
would also
Yeah.
be in a night class, and then we would put it into.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, make it.
Yeah.
make it
yeah, we
fun.
might as well
Could
make
you want
money
to
on it
start-
while it's there. Let the money work for us.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Mr. Mayor, if I may, when we spoke on Thursday, we recognize that the firehouse is in some need of repair. We also don't expect that, you're gonna be able to make wholesale changes to it overnight. It's something that where we would, just like similarly to what we did for apparatus, we'd put together a plan, a long-term
Yeah.
plan. So,
Before
that's.
we do that, though, we've got to take care of the emergency repair.
Correct,
It's been a long
correct,
time in
correct.
coming. Get that done. And then I agree, Mike. I mean, I'm glad to see us on this path and we're in a position blessedly to
Correct.
be able to do that now. But I agree. I mean, that's one of our buildings as well, and we should put a plan together because it can't all be done.
And I will say this, it's your oldest building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1903.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, just to clarify, the plan that we presented you was an apparatus replacement plan. You
Yep.
mentioned a couple of times the tower ladder, that's just one of many, and it was a plan that we hired someone to help us develop looking forward.
Yeah.
This is what the village, we suggest this is what the village do, looking out 30, 40 years. Totally on the same page with you about the building, that's our next step. We can
Yeah.
only conquer one at a time.
Yep.
So that's the next one we're gonna get into. What needs to be done, we need to do a study, and then take it from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed,
Is that-
agreed.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that currently the fire department has 6 fire apparatus response vehicles. Through this apparatus plan, we're actually going to reduce that to 4. So you're actually gonna save money long-term. It's gonna take you 30 years to get there, but you're gonna save
But
money.
it's a plan
Yeah.
where we've had nothing before.
Understood.
Yes.
Understood.
I think we're all.
Clear?
Yeah.
All right, so that's the plan then, is to get that information from Megan, and then we'll make plans to, if the board feels like the answers are satisfactory, to pass a resolution on Monday to obligate that money. Sound fair? All right. Last thing, pollinator planting at the Village Town sign. When Nicole was here, we touched on that. I will give everybody a heads up, and when we start moving this, Carla is a wrecking ball when it comes to getting these things moved along. And we're gonna have a meeting there. We'll get it set up, Dave, and you'll squeeze it into your other thousands of things you have to do.
When's that meeting?
Yeah, I know. We haven't said it yet. I've got it, but yes, I would love you to be available for that. And we'll meet there again at the sign and we'll figure it out. I know.
Squeeze it in somewhere.
Yep, and I will get help. I will get volunteers to help out with a piece of that, but obviously moving whatever type of blocks or stones that we're using, if that's the route we go.
My suggestion is doing something very similar to like a retaining wall, single row. And it'll look more aesthetically pleasing than odd rocks laid down or a wooden structure.
Yeah, no, I agree, but they also are gonna take into account, and that's what her bailiwick is, what type of flora and fauna, only flora in this instance, how deep it has to be, what the root bed requires, what's sustainable, all those kind of things. So that's why I just want all of us to be there to get it. We set on it, then we go from there. Okay. All right, lastly, for information, March 11th, the Village Fire Commission is meeting in the Village Boardroom at 6 p.m. March 13th, there's a zoning board meeting at 7 p.m. So Fire Commission's meeting here tomorrow, Rick?
Correct.
And then, what is that? Is that Thursday or Friday, the zoning board meeting? Thursday, right? The 13th?
It was canceled for this month, but
It was canceled, okay?
I
So
put it
then I'll
on 'cause
strike
I
that.
never know.
Okay. The village election will be held March 18th between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. here in Village Hall. Two trustee seats are open, and the mayor's position is open, so make sure you get out and vote. March 19th, the Donahue Committee meeting is at 6 p.m. here in the Village Boardroom. March 24th will be our Village Board meeting, the last one before the reorg meeting, which will be on April 7th, which you have down here as well. March 25th is a Planning Board meeting at 7 p.m., and then obviously the April 7th organizational meeting, which the next mayor will then make a decision to either conjoin the work session and the reorg meeting or keep them separate. They're on the calendar. All right. I'm gonna go first tonight. I just want to say that I got a letter, which I think all of you were on, from Dominic Cordisco, stating that he was stepping down from the Donahue Committee. Dominic he's involved in everything and a volunteer in everything, and obviously works very closely with Mike and the rest of the folks on the Special Events Committee, but he's just a wealth of information. He donates his legal advice all the time, like the deputy mayor does, which is truly appreciated. But he's got a lot of things on his plate, and he submitted his letter of resignation, so I want to thank him publicly for his service to the Donahue Committee. And that's,
Among other things.
yeah, exactly.
He did write back to everybody and say, I'm still on the special events committee, so
good.
that won't be
Oh, he's not
changing."
going anywhere. We're not letting him go just soon enough. All right, so let's start with Lori Beth.
I was just wondering about this Vietnam Veterans Day.
Yes, that happens every year. It's the Orange and Sullivan Hospice put it together. I don't know why it's their thing. They do a wonderful job with it. The Yacht Club has been a wonderful supporter of Orange and Sullivan Hospice. This is a Vietnam Veterans Remembrance Day, so you'll get the motorcycle guys that are, that ride, that are still, they're in a motorcycle club representing Vietnam vets. You get a lot of law enforcement that'll come. The county exec usually comes. Town supervisor comes. Assemblyman Ekus comes. I'm sure the Senator Skoufis will be invited, and he may be there. But it's just it's a nice thing. They, a few of the senior folks speak a little bit, and then they have you drop like roses into the Hudson River in remembrance of those Vietnam vets that are, either KIA or missing in action. So and the
And that's
POWs.
open to the public?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, you usually come with
Yeah,
me, Jim.
yeah,
Jim usually comes, but absolutely, board members are invited to come down there. It's a nice event. And if you've got somebody in your family who's a Vietnam vet, it's a nice tie-in, so. Okay, what else? Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, trustee Brain.
Time.
Just the Cornwall Cleanup Crew Board meeting is tomorrow night at the public library.
Wow.
And they mentioned that, and they would love to have people go. And I
Wow.
think it's at 6 tomorrow.
I think the town either built them or
Is
allowed them to install like a Connex box, so all of their supplies,
shed?
They do now.
yeah, they have one. I think it's a Connex box, right?
6:15 tomorrow is where I have it
I don't know, I
listed.
haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's up by Munger Cottage in the back there, right? I think, yeah.
Yep.
I haven't seen it, but.
They are like clockwork. I think is it 10 o'clock on Saturday mornings? They
Sunday
meet
mornings. at
Sunday
CVS.
morning.
Yeah.
They meet at the CVS parking lot and
As long as it's not real cold.
Right, when there was snow, they didn't.
Yeah. They only
well, you
missed
can't
about
find any of the
2
trash
weeks.
when there's snow on the ground too.
By the way, they did 9W, so
Yeah, they do. They're amazing.
pile of shit
They were
there.
with
Did
them.
you see it?
Yep, I was out there.
What else, Bill?
Good for you.
And it's a good way to find deer bones if you are a freak and want deer bones like I do. I'm getting a pile of them.
I can give you a million.
I'm not gonna ask
very
why.
macabre
They
about
dump
you.
them already. You know where they dump them.
All right, Bill, anything else?
No, I'm good,
Okay,
thank you.
David.
I'm good.
All right, Jim.
No, I'm
Good.
good. Yes,
All right, any alibis from any department heads?
W7.
All right, with that, I'm gonna make a motion to close the village board meeting for March 10th. May I have a second?
Pull off.
Second.
right
All in
here.
favor?
Aye.
All right,
Right
Doris, you're
before
gonna
the bridge.
kill the
Pull off and there's
audio on there.
wall.
All right, not bad. Hour and 45. Got a lot done.
We're going out right
You
now.
make fun of me,
We're gonna
and
go
this is like a
9W
It
south.
was nice to have a little room
Bear
tonight.
left,
Uh-huh.
go around in a circle.
You know?
And as soon as you go around the circle, you start straighten out before the bridge.
It was very comfortable. Yeah, because that's why I'm not wearing a jacket
No, right
tonight, because
here.
it's 1,000 degrees.
218.
1,000.
The bridge over
Not
top
really.